Ubisoft shut down a game people paid full price for, and then told the court those people never actually own it. Not the servers, the whole game, gone, even for the players who bought it on discs. And when two of them sued, Ubisoft's lawyers didn't say sorry, they said you were only ever renting the right to play. So here is the real question, the one nobody asks at the checkout screen. When you buy a game, what are you actually paying for? Here is John and welcome to the channel. This channel is about honest takes on games. No hype, no outrage farming, and this topic has a lot of both. So let's do the calm version. The game was called The Crew, an online racing game from 2014. In 2024, Ubisoft flipped the switch, servers off, and because the game was built to always be online, that was it, unplayable. Even if you owned the disc, even if you paid $60 a decade ago. Two players in California took Ubisoft to court, and Ubisoft's defense is the whole reason we are here today. They pointed at the packaging, all capital letters, a line most of us never read. It said you were buying a limited license to access the game, not the game itself. And here is the uncomfortable part, legally they are probably right. This is the gap nobody tells you about. You click a button that says buy, you hand over real money, but in the eyes of the law, you didn't buy a thing, you bought permission, a license, and that license can end. Now, before anyone rage quits into the comments, let me be honest about how big this actually is, because the internet has two versions of this story and both of them are wrong. Version 1, you lose all your games, that's fear, it's not true. Version 2, nothing has changed, calm down, that's also wrong, something real is happening. Let me give you the honest middle. Start with what you actually lose, because it's real and it's specific. If a game needs a company service to run, an online game, a live service game, then that company holds the off switch forever. The Crew is the extreme example, full removal. But look at the Anthem, a EA's big co-op shooter. In January 2026, EA shut it down. There was no refunds. And here is what made people furious. Anthem had a single player campaign, a story mission you could play solo. Didn't matter. The game needed a server to even start. Servers off, campaign gone. You paid for a story, and one day the story just stopped existing. That's the genuine loss. When you buy an always online game, you are buying something that can be switched off permanently with no refunds. That's not a scary story. That's already happened twice. But now the honest other half, the part the outrage videos skip. Most of your games are fine. Your Steam library isn't going to evaporate. When a game gets delisted, pulled from the store, the people who already own it can almost always still download it and play it. The listing is sub new sales. It usually doesn't reach into your library and delete what you have. The Crew was unusual precisely because Ubisoft went further than that. And if you actually want ownership, real offline, nobody can touch it. Ownership still exists. Buy a single player game on a platform like GOG with no DRM and it's yours. Copy it to a hard drive, it will run in 20 years. Physical cartridges for offline games, same deal. So the honest line in this, the danger isn't digital games, the danger is online dependent games. That's the category where buy can quietly turn into the borrow. If this is the kind of breakdown you want more of it, the calm version instead of the angry version, subscribe, that's the whole channel, plus upcoming games and reviews. Now the part where I defend the publishers. Yeah, stay with me. Because here is what the outrage crowd gets wrong. The companies aren't cartoon villains twirling a mustache. The reason you can't force every game to stay playable forever is genuinely complicated. Live service games are held together by other people's stuff. The Crew is a racing game, full of real cars, from real manufacturers licensed for a limited time. When that license expires, Ubisoft legally can't keep selling the games with those cars in it. Multiply that across music, likenesses, matchmaking servers, anti-cheat system, code they don't fully own. Just let people run it offline sounds simple often, but it isn't. Sometimes it's not even legal. And that's not me guessing. When over 1 million Europeans signed a petition demanding a law to keep games playable, the European Commission looked at it and said no. What was the reason? Copyright and intellectual property law. The people who make a game hold exclusive rights over it. A blanket law forcing them to hand over a working offline version would collide head-on with those rights. The commission called it not proportionate. So this is the real tension, not good guys versus bad guys. It's preservation versus copyright. Two things that both matter, pulling in opposite direction, and copyright right now is winning. Which brings us to the movement and where this actually stands, because the headlines oversimplify this too. It's called Stop Killing Games. It started by a YouTuber, Ross Scott. After the crew died, it got huge, nearly 1.3 million verified signatures in Europe. And in June 2026, the commission gave its answer. No new law, but and this matters, they didn't slam the door. They committed to build a code of conduct with the industries on how games handle their end of life. Voluntary, not a law, but not nothing. Did the movement win? Of course not. Did it lose? The answer is also no. That's an honest read. It's less satisfying than a headline. Now the part for everyone outside Europe, because this isn't just a Brussels story. The United States has already moved. California passes a law, AB 2426, that's been in effect since the start of 2025. It doesn't force companies to keep games alive, but it forces them to stop lying about the word buy. If a store sells you a license, it now has to say so. That's why checkout screen started sprouting little. You are purchasing a license, notices. That was the law. That's the first crack. California tried to go further this year. A bill called the Protect Our Games Act, which would have forced notice and refunds when servers shut down. It passed the State Assembly, then in June 2026, it stalled in the Senate committee and failed to advance. The industry lobby pushed back hard, a bit too hard actually. One representative stood up and called it private community servers piracy, which is a stretch, given that companies like Microsoft officially let players run their own Minecraft servers. The bill isn't fully dead, but it's not moving this session. And in the UK, Parliament debated the whole issue back in November 2025. No law yet, but it's on the table. So here is where we land. You own less than the word buy, I promise you. That part is true, and every gamer should know it. But you own nothing is fear talking. Your offline single player library is mostly safe. The real risk lives in one specific place. Games that need someone else's server to brief. So the question isn't do you own your games, it's sharper than that. Before your next purchase, ask one thing. If the server went dark tomorrow, would I still have what I paid for? If the answer is yes, you bought a game. If the answer is no, you didn't buy anything, you rented it. And nobody printed an end date on the receipt. That's the honest take. What's yours? If a company shut down a game you paid for, should they owe you a refund or did you always know the deal? Tell me below. I will read them. Thanks for watching. See you next time.